Hello there, Egil here again. Today I'm going to talk about runes and the terminology of that is employed. Okay, I had a question, what is a runecaster? Well, a runecaster is somebody who has knowledge of the runes and literally casts them. We have a reference to runecasting from Tacitus in his book Germania, or Germania, how you pronounce it, it's up to you, where he speaks of the barbarian tribes laying out a white cloth, cutting branches from fruit trees, carving glyphs and casting them on the white cloth. Another example of a runecaster is from the Norse mythology, well, Norse history, is of a woman who wears a blue cloak. She wears catskin hood, catskin mittens, has a staff with a brass knob on the end. But a runecaster themselves was a number of things. Yes, they would tell you whether you've got good fortune, bad fortune, like anything else. But they were a combination of social worker, psychiatrist, and wise person. I say wise person because it wasn't always men that did it. In fact, it was probably more like women. In some instances, people who had been born with disabilities were looked on as kissed by the gods, and they were special. Far from being marginalised, they were people who earned their living by casting runes and giving advice. Some runecasters would travel around the countryside, and the first test they had to do was to raise the wind, which is exactly what they did. And through their ability they could make the wind blow. And they then set about and were paid accordingly. So rune casting, there's a whole language out there. We talk about the runes when you've cast them on your cloth. They can be upright or reversed, which as the name infers. Upright means it's the right way up, reversed means it's the other way. So therefore each rune has a minimum of 2 meanings. Not necessarily bad, not necessarily good. And in the terminology of the time, and even of today, they say there is no such thing as evil. And I can hear now people going, oh goodness. No, let's look at it logically. Electricity today. You put your bread in the toaster, your toaster gets cooked, you get your breakfast. However, if it messes up, it can burn your house down and electrocute you. It was described to me as a force misplaced. So you bear that in mind. So that's another one on there. Acquirent. That sounds a very posh name, doesn't it? Say I'm a runecaster, which I am. You come to me and say, can you do blah blah blah? You are the querent. You're querying. You're asking a question. And the querent is, there is also ethics involved. It's a very difficult job being a runecaster because people come to you 9/10 of the time you're the last hope, and they come to you with problems. You have to explain, I'm not a psychologist, blah blah, but also you can't talk about what they've said. Believe you me, I had some really bizarre things asked of me and some really bizarre people, but you're not there. You're there to inspire confidence, because you're here to help people. You're not here to cause problems, despite what Hammer House horror things tell you. It's not. It's how you apply them. So when somebody gives you that's a confidence. It's like you go to the doctor. You don't want the doctor talking about your illnesses to anybody because it's between you and them. And it's the same with casting runes. Runes themselves, the actual rune stones, as the name infers, are of stone. Any natural organic materials. So it's no good having plastic runes because it just won't work. You can use, mine are ceramic, they are clay. You could get them of wood, you get them of natural stones, and sea wash stones especially. So you mark them up. Now to me, I prefer oblong runes because you get a definite right or upright. If they're round, I don't find it very useful for me personally. It's a matter of preference. We even you mark them. You can burn them in with a wood burning set if you've got wooden runes. You can paint them in with organic paints. Some people have been known, and I don't advise this, stain them with blood. That's up to you. You could purchase sets of runes. My runes actually came with a book by Ralph Bloom called The Runes, as the name infers. I also got a pouch along with it as well. And this is the thing, the pouch should be also organic. Your cloth should be plain. Don't bother putting all fancy bits on it because you've got to focus. And the more you do it, the better you become. It becomes a natural reaction. And this is what it's all about, is using your intuition. There are books around, some better than others. Again, it's up to you. The things that appeal to you. And be careful of how you use them. They're not toys. You can cause problems. The classic case in literature is Egil's saga, where Egil and his cronies stop at a farm and there's a woman who is not very well and she's getting worse. Egil suspects there's something wrong, finds a strip of whalebone which has got runes carved on it, and they're incorrectly carved. Far from exacerbating her illness, they're making it far worse. So Egil shaves off the old runes, carves the new ones on, and he has some very sage advice which is worth listening to today. Know how to carve them, know how to stain them, know how to read them. And lack of knowledge is no excuse when you're dealing with people's lives. I know I sound very doom-laden, but believe you me, you don't mess with things that you don't know. So read, learn. This is why I'm not going to teach you magic. I'm going to teach you about the runes and what their loose meanings are. It's up to you, the individual, to take it the step further. Well, I hope that this has been of use to you. I will be going through the Elder Futhark. The Elder Futhark dates from around the 6th century and was replaced obviously by a younger Futhark, but we'll discuss those later on. So until we meet again, happy casting. Bye.